Hey, booze, hey. Do your blankets feel like super glue in the morning? Well, sis, it's time to shake them off. Welcome to Wake Up Happy Sis, the show that jumpstarts your day with a bang. We're strolling down these self-care streets as we navigate the maze of wellness and healing. We're helping you live happy, healed, and whole. And we do it all with a hearty dose of belly laughs for good measure. Stay tuned and get ready to wake up happy, sis. Hey, booze. Hey, it's your girl, LeAnne Dolce, Chief Self-Love Officer over here at the Wake Up Happy Sis show. We are tuning in live on KCCR Cityscape Radio, where we are changing the narrative for our people because we are always telling our story our way. And why is my Instagram not online? How are we going to talk to all our people when we ain't got all our people here to talk to? But just give me one moment. Look, this is what happens when you got a real live show. Sometimes technologies, but that's okay because we don't let it hold us down. We don't let it stop our flow, our show, and our groove. So let me get this back online. Okay, I think we're good now. All right, yes, we are. So back to what I was saying, because I had my whole little intro. All right, so today we are working through embracing joy, and we're here to give you a little bit of a pre-Christmas uplift. It's really time to let go of all that holiday stress that you have been dealing with, reclaim your peace, and find joy in the moments that truly matter. We're diving into how do you create those memories, create those new traditions, because trust me, you are not stuck with anything that you've been left with, okay? And how do you set boundaries so you can actually enjoy your holiday? Okay, I know we've all had those times with those family, those friends who just say, "Oh, I just want no." It's okay to say no. And we're teaching you how to do that today. And we have two amazing guests who are joining us. We have Joy, the specialist, our Joy specialist, Jamila Weathers, and our certified life coach, Leila Lawson. These two beautiful ladies are going to be dropping gems that you don't want to miss. And you know, we don't judge what you're drinking here. I'm drinking water this morning, but grab your mug, your cup, your bottle of something, okay? And get ready to enjoy this conversation with us. So welcome, ladies.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I am so happy that you guys are here with me today. So what I like to start with is I really love for you guys to introduce yourselves, because I feel like nobody can do you justice like you, because who knows you better than you, right? So Jamila, we're going to start with you. Kind of, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what led you, to your path that you're on now.
All right. Well, I am Jamila Weathers, aka the Joy Specialist for the Win Some Wine Some community. By day, I work for the Federales, aka the federal government, and by night, I build community for Black women professionals. And showing them how to show up as their whole ass selves. Because we have so many different roles and titles that we're carrying and wearing every day, and we need a space that's exclusive for us to just show up and be surrounded in sisterhood. I'm a mother to 3 boys, a wife to 1 fabulous husband. I live in Baltimore, Maryland right now.
Okay.
And my mission is to encourage, curate, and create joy for every Black woman that I encounter, engage, and that their experience, they feel comfortable choosing their joy. That does not mean that they have to be in service for it.
Girl, you didn't already hit on it, because that is my whole philosophy, is that our worth is not tied to our service to others. And so often that's what we're told, that's what we're taught, and that's what we put off on ourselves. Every time we say, "Oh, but I've got kids, but I've got," as if you cease to exist once you get married, have a kid, go to work in your church, work in the community. Nah, we're not doing that.
Mhm. I agree.
So let me ask you, as a joy specialist, what does embracing joy mean to you? And why do you feel like it's important for Black women to prioritize joy, especially during the holidays?
For me as a joy specialist, I am very big on intentional joy. I believe that we have joyous moments, joyous occasions, yet not often do Black women set intentional joy for themselves, right? So there's a difference between providing joy for other people, which we often find ourselves in that role oftentimes. And for me, it is intentional for me to set those moments that are just for me. If other people get to enjoy some of the joy, that's fine, but this is for me. This is my intentional joy. The more Black women need that, because we have been raised and built and conditioned to carry and create these experiences for other people.
Mm-hmm.
So for myself during the holidays times, I create boundaries and parameters on what it is that I'm going to be willing to do. I'm
Yes.
going to show up. I also take all offers of help. I do not carry the load by myself, because this is not just something that I'm enjoying and putting on. I want to be able to be in the moments too and not just creating them. So for me, the holiday time is for the family and friends to all come together and create that joy together, and not just me being in the kitchen, cooking and cleaning and hosting.
Yes. And some people, that is their joy, is
Mhm.
that hosting aspect of it. But I think we do get lost sometimes in the servitude part of creating joyous moments.
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, it's okay to stop and actually enjoy
Mhm.
this moment.
Yep, and to accept the help. It's okay that you're accepting someone's offer to help you. Yes, have them bring a dish. Yes, have them clean a dish.
Depending
Okay?
on what now, woo, woo, some woo, 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 woo. With that bring a dish, you
Well,
gotta you
listen,
gotta
we
make
didn't
sure
cook.
you can't tell everybody. Some people gotta bring plates.
Yeah, so we didn't say they had to cook it. We said bring a dish. That didn't
Right.
mean they had to be in that kitchen.
You're right. Be
They can
like,
pick that thing up too.
right, be like, that's not your ministry, but that's
Mhm.
okay. That's okay. You can
Right.
go buy a pie from the store.
Hello. Okay.
Yes, I agree. We do have to be more open and accepting of those moments of that assistance. And sometimes we get so used to, but I always you can be addicted to your labor. I am not addicted to mine. I am addicted to my joy. Amen.
Ooh, that's a word. Okay.
Yeah. Look, let me clap for myself since
Okay.
Sharonda is a little late getting here.
Okay.
Oh, there she go. There
You
she,
taking us
there
there
she go.
early. Okay.
She gonna bring the clap with it. We got a couple people. Good morning, A son.
Hey,
Good morning, Lucretia. Good morning, beautiful ladies. Hey, Sharonda.
hello, Litties. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Sure is crowded up in here.
You know. Oh, good morning, Shakia. I like that name.
Me
And I
too.
probably messed it up. I probably totally butchered it, but I tried my best. So Leila, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you got into it?
Yes, absolutely. I'm honored to be a part of your show, LeAnne.
Thank you.
So, yes, I am Leila Lawson, and I am a certified professional life coach. I come with 15 years of law enforcement. So, my business is not just life coaching, but getting people into the leadership positions that they need to be in or want to be in or have a desire, just communication, effective communication, not just with your friends and family, but in the workspace, conflict resolution.
Mhm.
And the reason I believe that there was a need for that is because in law enforcement, many times you get those 911 calls when family members, friends, they are not getting along. No one's calling 911, right? Because they're having a good day. So
Thanks.
the fact that conflict resolution is not necessarily in the curriculum with an emphasis of K through 12, they may have it, but it's not every year, right? Like we teach math, science, reading, art. People forget the importance of leadership and conflict resolution. Like Jamila was saying, you have these avenues where you're in different spaces and you need the support, right? You need different things. So it kind of led me in a space where I want to not just give back to the community in a law enforcement space, but I also want to give back to any professional that's looking for an opportunity to grow. And so that pretty much sums it up with everything that I have going on. Just wanting to see people be the best version of themselves again.
Yes, yes, I love that. So, because your background appears to be so diverse, right? You got law enforcement. Now, how do you kind of incorporate these experiences into your coaching practice? Because I know you've seen, if you was in law enforcement, I know you've seen some things.
Yes, absolutely. So, like I was telling you with the conflict resolution, one of the things that I like to incorporate with communication is don't necessarily meet people where they are. So, in advising and consulting with individuals on how to communicate effectively, when you show up on those 911 calls, again, people are on a 10. If it's a scale of 1 to 3, they're there. They're on a 10. No one calls because it's a joyous occasion. Either they've been a victim of, like, let's say, a robbery or an assault or a lost, family member, but they are in high stress. So you can't meet them where they are, but you have to allow space for them to communicate their message. And if they want to communicate at a 12, be okay with that and don't take it personal. So allow them to be okay in the space they're in, and don't make them feel bad and say, you need to calm down. I'm here. You called me for a reason. Say, you know what? I can understand why you would be up in arms about this.
And you got to step away from the situation, so you don't, because from your perspective as a police officer, you've got to step away from the situation and don't take it personal, because they're in expression. You can't tell them how to communicate. You just have to let them communicate. Right. So you stay on the outside, because if you get sucked into their vortex, somebody got to remain in control at all times.
That's good. So what I want to help individuals do is, even in corporate, right? Mm-hmm. Even in school. So no matter who it is, something that I want to employ and challenge people to do is, if you're communicating with someone, let's say you're a teacher and you have a student that is, maybe you're telling them to do something, you're instructing them, and they're not responding in a way, acknowledge where they are. We're not condoning the behavior. We're not condoning what was said, but accept where they are. Let them know that they are seen and heard, and then communicate the information. So if you're trying to get them to have a seat, for example, instead of saying, you need to have a seat, you know what? You just let them know, hey, there's a seat that's available for you to take just like everyone else. So we'll wait patiently as you take that seat. And you figure out a way to communicate with that individual. Now, there's more to it than that, right? But I taught there, and I taught great in the schools to 4th, 5th, 8th graders, K through 12, actually. And so getting individuals, no matter what age, to comprehend information is really, it's a skill set. You can't use the words you need to, you have to, or wake up people's inner defense, because that's when we're not successful at communicating, because people immediately become defensive. Even though we're talking about the pre-joys of Christmas, if you say you don't celebrate Christmas, people automatically are defensive, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to see them in that space, that whatever it is of their belief system, and be understanding, so that you can have that back and forth dialogue with them.
You have an artwork. You have made an artwork out of de-escalation, Leila.
Thank you. Yes.
Because wow, I love the way you approach. I love the words you use and how you use them, the tone you use them in, and it just brings it down. Yes. And it's unbeknownst to them, because they are on 12 trying to express express what's going on the inside. And from the outside, you're controlling the situation, and they don't even have a clue.
Yes. And it's funny you say that, because my officers that used to work with me, I was a sergeant, they would call me the people whisperer. They're like, you need people to calm down. And I'm like, listen, you cannot show up and match them no matter how much you want to.
Hello.
You just can't do it, because you're going to lose every time. You're not going to get what you want. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell for me.
I mean, sometimes.
And LeAnne, come on. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But when you want to get the results you want to get effectively.
Sometimes you have to. No, I'm not gonna say that. Just kidding. Now I do have a very petty side.
Her and Ricky Bobby, ma'am.
I know when to invoke it and when not to. Yes. So, but yes, sometimes you got to fight a little fire with fire. But generally speaking, and most times, that is not the way to go. We want people, if you want joy, you have to speak joy, you have to speak love, you have to speak life into situations. Because sometimes that unnerves people. They're not used to it. And they don't even know how to respond sometimes when you hit them with because they're used to people responding in a reactive way and not responding in a thoughtful and intentional way. Like when I used to work in fast food when I was in high school. Now I am a pop off person. I'm a Cancer, so I'm a pop off if you really take me there. But I don't. I've learned early on not to allow people to control your emotions.
Absolutely.
Right? So you get people, especially in a fast food environment, mad about any little old thing, and you have to be the one who has to know how to speak to people. And that's hard at 17, 18, and you got these adults and everybody else screaming at you. But I think the sooner we teach these lessons to our children and teach them how to express their emotions without always feeling like they have to be at a 12, that's because we're holding all that stuff inside. Or something super traumatic has happened and we don't have a way to process the emotions that we're feeling yet. And so that I think that speaks really well into the topic of kind of embracing joy during a very stressful holiday period. I think Christmas is the most stressful holiday period that we've got, right? If you look at all the other holidays, Christmas is the most stressful one. And I think sometimes the most lonely one as well, if you've lost family members and you're trying to navigate a new sense of normal. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of unpacking that holiday stress and how do we reclaim our joy. But first, Lucretia said, what tools might be helpful for this? I think we can all kind of go round robin and kind of maybe give what we feel would be good tools that help us when we're trying to de-escalate and not have that combativeness, when situations like that arise. For me, I literally have to physically take a step and take myself out of that environment, right? Because I'm an empath, so everything that's coming at me is coming at me, 2 or 3 times heavier than what may be projected. So for me, I literally have to go take myself out of the environment. It is okay to take yourself out of a stressful situation and say, give me a few minutes so that you can go and calm and settle your nerves and come back and be able to react out of logic versus reacting out of emotion. Because when I reacted out of emotion, when I was really young, that, those teen years, even into my 20s, it was blind rage, meaning I don't remember anything. And that happened to me one too many times. And I was like, okay, something's wrong with this. How do I navigate that? So for me, it's walking away from the situation. It's taking a moment to do deep breathing exercises to help kind of calm my system down and put myself into a space where I can come back and talk to somebody logically.
I like that you said that, LeAnne. So taking that a step further, how you said walk away and, coming back, I think also for individuals that walk away, well, what's next, right? Once you walk away. And I always think about maybe we find out what was the trigger. Mm-hmm. What made us feel that way? Why did we feel some type of way about either what was done or what was said? Do we believe that's true about ourselves? Mm-hmm. Do we believe what we're thinking, what thoughts are racing through our heads? So when Lucretia asked what tools might be helpful for this, Sometimes it's figuring out and pinpointing the trigger.
Yes.
Why am I not able to confront this or deal with this head on? Why do I need to walk away? And it's okay to walk away. So don't, say that I'm not saying it's okay to walk away, but once you walk away, well, then we can't walk away from everything and not address it either. So let's make sure that we're finding the underlying condition of why we're not handling something. So if it's holiday, if it's we're looking at the holidays in general, why do the holidays bring such angst or sadness or whatever challenge we're facing, and then deal with that? Is it the season? Is the weather too cold? Is it gloomy outside? Is the sun not shining the way I want it to shine? Or did I lose a loved one? Did I deal with a divorce? Did I have a bad breakup, a friendship that dissolved around this time period? Or did I have some type of situation that was really glorious and now I don't have it and my brain is racing? They say, like an idle mind is a playground for things that are not feeding us joy and peace, So when our brain is not fluctuating in a space of thankfulness and appreciation, it goes the opposite direction. So just really figuring out, I would say, when I think of tools, I think of being grateful. Write down gratitude notes daily. When I think of tools, I also think of having that circle. So there's a app called Meetup, right? And if you don't have a core of friends, maybe you get a core of individuals that you can connect with, that you feel comfortable texting or calling them, right? So those are some tools real quick. I don't want to take too much time because I want to hear somebody else's thoughts.
One of the things I want to piggyback off of is because the holidays, like we have been discussing, do bring up emotions outside of joy. And I can relate to that because my passing of my parents, loss of my nephew, and also my best friend, over the years, the holidays have been a trigger because it's like that immediate, you can feel it. You can feel the loss. You can feel you're trying to experience all that's going around you, great and joyous, yet there's still a part of you that is longing and yearning for those that are not with you to celebrate those experiences and days as well. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I have been doing with myself over the last couple years is doing self-reflection, self-checks. So that when I'm in these environments that are either going to be highly emotional, could be because anything can trigger you during this season. Leila was speaking, it could be the weather, it could be a song, it could be whatever, a smell. And what I like to do for myself and what I recommend for the women in my community, I have a pillar that's the story of love. And it's about the motherless daughters that, are going through this season that you want to show up and be happy and all of that. Yet again, there's that lost feeling there. What self-checks is you being honest with yourself. If you are being honest with yourself in spaces, hey, I might not be able to be in this space because it might trigger me, right? And also letting people know, hey, I do want to come out. I do want to show up and I might come for a little bit, but honey, it's a little heavy for me and I may not stay as long. Or if you're around people and you begin to have some emotions that come up, be honest with them too. Because they cannot assist, they cannot comfort, they cannot hold space for you if you are lying to them and to yourself as to what is happening in that moment. So I think it's also very important to surround yourself with people that can sympathize yet empathize with you as well at the same time. It's great to have people that, want to comfort you. But I also think the next level and another layer is to have people that you can speak to, especially during this period or just period, that empathize because they understand that loss. Because it's a loss of any magnitude. Find your people where you can have these discussions, where you can feel that you're not trying to explain to someone what it feels like because they understand it. So it's more of like, you guys are comforting each other. This is a safe space that we can share what is really going on here. So that would be one of the tools that I would say is to do some self-reflection, be honest with yourself and what you're feeling, and also be honest with the people that you love and care for so they can show up for you in the ways that they can.
Definitely. Sheronda, you want to add anything?
You gotta show yourself some grace. That's going to always be my answer, because if your emotions is causing you to act unbecoming, then you're not communicating effectively enough, maybe. And if you give yourself grace and step back so you can, one, breathe and calm down so you can articulate that, we can start there.
Hmm. And I think it's also important to recognize which side of the conflict you are on, right? If I am coming in and I'm coming into what I feel is a hostile environment, a dangerous environment, that's where I'm talking about taking a step back, right? One of the things that I do is I will remove myself from any environment at any time that I do not feel comfortable in, I do not feel comfortable around, because I think it's important for me to go to a space to where I can self regulate, right? So you need techniques that in the moment you can use. One of the things I use is called box breathing. So what box breathing is, it's like you're going to inhale for a 4 count. You're going to hold your breath for a 4 count. You're going to exhale for a 4 count. You're going to then hold that exhale for a 4 count, right? These things really actually help calm your nervous system so you can think a little more logically about what is going on. I will also do body scans. I like to try and practice mindfulness so I know how I'm feeling in the moment. Because it is important, like Leila said, to acknowledge and know what your triggers are. You have to start knowing what your triggers are. So then, if your trigger is specific people, right, then you know, hey, that's one of those who all gonna be there moments, right? There are certain people that if they're at an event, I may not go because I know that it's going to put me in a space. For I didn't actually go on a whole vacation and switch my vacation times because what I'm not going to do is have somebody interrupt my peace and my relaxation because they may make me because I may be triggered. Only thing that I can control in a situation is me. I can't control you. I can't control them. I can only control my response. So I love what Layla was saying about, hey, when we walk away, what do we do then? You have to figure out what that next step is for you. How do you get yourself back to a state of calm, a state of normal, a state of, I don't like balance. I like harmony. I want to be in a state of harmony, right? Where I don't feel like I am stressed all the time, where I don't feel like every time I walk into this situation, I'm on pins and needles, right? So let's kind of jump into. So thank you so much for that wonderful question, Lucretia. Keep the questions coming. You got look at all this talent you got. And then our big brother has joined. Welcome, welcome.
Good morning, my queens. How are you? Happy holidays.
Good
We are
morning.
fabulous. We're talking about embracing joy during the holiday season. So one of the things I want to talk about is when we're thinking about the holidays, a lot of times there are so many expectations that we feel are being placed on us, right? Societal expectations that you got to have the perfect house and the yard's got to be decorated and you got to be doing all these things, right? You've got familial and cultural expectations, the big meal that you got to prepare because you're the one in the family that does all the cooking, or you're the hostess, you've got the quote unquote best house. So all of these things, right? Making sure we've got the perfect gift for everybody. Um, and I feel like as Black women, we have an inherent need to over deliver, right? We go and we've got this pressure to be the best, to be the top at anything that we do, right? And I think that comes out of our desire to nurture people, to care for the ones that we love, but where are we caring for ourselves in that space? Right. So one of the things I want to talk about and get from you ladies and gentlemen, is when you're in that space, right? What are some signs that you guys have experienced that let you know, okay, this holiday stress is kind of getting the best of me. I need to recalibrate something somewhere to get back to my joy and get out of this stress. So, what about you, Jamila?
Well, I know one thing for me is that I am very good at establishing what are my intentions and expectations versus someone else's, right? And once I've established that and what it is that I'm intending to do and expecting myself to do and show up, then I'm able to go a little bit more in flow. I feel like what you were speaking about, as Black women, we tend to over deliver and exhaust ourselves because we're trying to create this perfect experience, this perfect, whole holiday that we are void of even experiencing ourselves, because we're showing up here, we're getting this, we're doing this. And when we don't set those intentions and expectations for ourselves, what do we want to get out of this? What is it that we are looking to have an experience? And also, is it really an expectation, or is this how I have been conditioned to believe this is how I got to show up? This is a way that my family is going to, like, oh, girl, you did that. Oh, this was good. Oh, the meal was great. And that is the kudos that I need to feel like I've represented myself well for everyone else. I think it's also looking at that too. And once I've determined what that is for me, then I'm not going against that. I'm
Yeah.
going to honor myself, because my what I'm understanding for me is that I am not my mother.
That's
I'm not
right.
my mother's mother, right? And in order for us to stop some of these cycles and even reprogramming ourselves from these expectations that are placed upon us is for us to say no, and to no longer operate as people assume or presume that we are going to. Sometimes you got to shake up the scene.
Hmm.
Well,
I like
somebody clap on that one.
the scene. With shaking up the scene, also, I just want to piggyback on to kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but just realizing it's not just African American women that are showing up and overdoing things. It's more than that. It's people that have very high expectations, and it's been brought on, like Jamila said, by their families. It doesn't have a color. It could be anybody. And if that's been like something in your family or your upbringing or the people that you've surrounded yourself around, that you really have to show up in a space and always overextend yourself but forget to take care of self. I have seen, just being in law enforcement, it literally does not have a color. It is so many different people, men and women, that have that mindset. And that leads people, not that we're going to go doom and gloom, but I'm going to just touch it, to unalive themselves. And I have seen that because they say they're, you see these letters, their families had so many expectations of them, and or they just could not get the help that was needed to understand they weren't, what you say, Jamila, I'm not my mother. I'm not my mother's mother. That was a big part of sometimes what we're trying to do. And it again, it doesn't have a race on it. It's just what generations push and pass down to us to say, you're going to be better than the next, right? We want our children. I have a son and daughter. My daughter's 25, my son is 18. I want them to be better than me. So we began to push the agenda of what does better than me look like?
Definitely.
And that puts the weight on people's shoulders of overextending themselves and forgetting about what we need, which is exactly what Jamila touched on.
Yes, and while it doesn't have a color or race, it does here. This show is specifically targeted towards Black women. That doesn't negate the feelings of any other race, of any other group of people. But when I speak on this show, I'm specifically speaking to Black women, because we are the ones who typically are less protected, have higher expectations for how we look, see, think, act, feel, and all of these things being projected to us. So I'm not here to negate anybody else's experience or anybody else's trauma, but what I am here to do is to shed a light on how do we as Black women cope with this, and what are the differences culturally, societally, familially, might not even be a word, but I do make up words here, so y'all will
Mhm.
hear that. Y'all will
Right.
hear that. Be okay with it, right? So yes, it doesn't have a color, it doesn't have a race, but here it does. So my goal here is to help Black women step outside of what they are used to, step outside of that comfort zone, step outside of those expectations, the unrealistic expectations a lot of times that, like you said, can cause a person to unalive themselves. I've had friends who have committed suicide. We've talked about that on this show, because they felt for whatever reason, that life would be better without them in it. Hell, I've had those thoughts myself.
No, I love that, LeAnne,
You
that
know
you're
what I mean?
this for African American women. I
Yes,
am
ma'am.
all for it. No, my statement was just because when we are in spaces, we also just want to be mindful that it does happen
Mhm.
just to us in that space. But our friends that may be, for example, my sister's biracial. So it depends on who people identify with, but they could be going through it and we don't want to be like, oh, she can't be going through that. Like still seeing it. But I
Right.
love this platform because you're so right. We are very marginalized and treated different and don't have the same support and constantly have to speak up for each other, help each other up. So I love that. I love that you're creating this platform.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is
You know,
also indicative of my own situation before retirement. The thing that sent me into retirement was being the most hardworking, most disrespected, most unprotected class of this country.
Mhm.
And when you're asking for the support from, I was a unicorn. I'm gonna call myself a black ass unicorn at the doggone office because I was one of one. And to be able to go to my boss and actually convey that I was the most disrespected and unprotected person in this freaking office, he showed his white fragility to me, ma'am. Like he took it to offense. But I'm the one telling you I'm disrespected. What are we doing here?
mm,
And I agree.
Well, hold on. What I don't want us to get caught up in is a racial thing, a racial
Oh,
divide,
no.
racial
Sorry,
thing.
I
No,
just want
I want to make sure. So we're gonna steer the conversation back to what the actual topic of our show is. We're here for anybody can listen to this show. Anybody is welcome to come on. We have non-black guests who come on that we bring on the show because we serve as a platform for anybody. Our topics are not, if you're not black, you cannot. But I will always uplift, and I will always target my messaging for black women. Does not mean I don't see other women who struggle, other men, other races. We're here for everybody, but specifically, I'm always going to be here for black women first. So
we all we got.
that's what we're here to do. So let's get back to this holiday joy and how do we bring that into our thing. I want to talk about traditions for a minute because something that you said, Jamila, earlier kind of struck a chord in me is that when you said, I'm not my mother, I'm not my grandmother, right? We're never tied to the traditions that we grew up with. Sometimes I think we feel like we've got to do things a certain way because that's what we've always been taught. We've always had the big Sunday dinner. We've always had da 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 da. I always got to invite all these people and do all these things, and we have to have turkey, dressing, stuffing, blah blah, all these things, right? You are not tied to any cultural tradition. It is okay for you, especially because we had some traditions that I think are tied to trauma. There are certain things that we do that are tied to trauma that we've been through that we just kind of carry on because that's what we know, that's familiar, that's comfortable. Um, I would like to challenge people to step out of their comfort zones, um, and really try to create new traditions. That's how we break these cycles of trauma, cycles of pain, cycles of hurt, is sometimes we have to be those brave souls that go out on that ledge and say, hey, what we're not going to do anymore around here is this. As for me, myself, and my family, we're going to start this new path. We're going to move forward in this space. So, can you guys talk a little bit, Leila, about cultural traditions? You know, how do we navigate trying to create a new kind of cultural tradition or paradigm shift in our families, and sometimes even within ourselves first, because I think it has to start with us first.
Am I on?
You're on.
I was like, is that for me? I've been over here trying to clear my throat. I would say to find out what it is you want and what you like. So if your family did a big Christmas dinner and you decide that maybe you want to participate, but you don't want to do a big Christmas dinner, then like you said earlier, LeAnne, or maybe Jamila said this, I'll go, but not for a long time, right? So
Yes.
find out exactly what it is that you like, because I think many times we get caught up in doing what we're used to, and we don't realize that it's not what we enjoy doing. We just do it to go along with the flow. So I think the first thing is going to be to determine what it is you enjoy. The second thing is going to be to find out if you want to do it with other people. Because like you said, I don't want to go somewhere and they interrupt. I don't want, what'd you say? I don't want balance. I want peace and harmony. So,
Yes.
so figuring that out, right? Like
Yeah.
know your limitations.
Mhm.
So, and this is just a quick example, but yesterday I went to a space. I have ADHD that I was diagnosed as an adult, but I always knew I had it before I was diagnosed. I was self-diagnosed. I Googled it myself, and I was self-diagnosed.
Of course.
And I was in a space, and because I don't know if it's because I hit my mid-40s, it popped up in me that it just really things get to me. But I was in a space with a bunch of children, and it was a space to be listening, right? So I have kids on the right, kids on the left, and they're just kids crying and everything. But I felt so anxious and overwhelmed that I couldn't focus on the message. And so I said, after I left, I go, this is not my, like, either I'm gonna have to come early when it's not the children, because I had to recognize, like, this is not my space. So when you talk about how can we create and curate these spaces during the holiday and what's going to be good for us, I think that knowing your comfort level and understanding it's not the same as what it used to be when we were younger.
Yeah.
The more you age and have different experiences, one thing we cannot do is rush someone's life experience. So just kind of being okay with understanding you're different now. It may be different for the good, different for the whatever, because everybody views it differently, right?
Mhm.
So, you used to always come and bring, the tuna noodle casserole or the turkey, and you don't anymore. Well, I'm going to send it ahead so somebody else can have it there. Like, creating those boundaries and those healthy spaces for yourself around the holiday. And that may be your new tradition. Maybe your new tradition is, I don't like opening gifts. I don't want to get a gift. That's what y'all did. And so once you create your boundary, sticking with it and not feeling bad, that you've created that. But being mindful that you're not isolating.
Yes.
Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't think isolation is a safe space either.
No.
So
I agree. I definitely agree. Oh, go ahead. You said you were finished.
Yeah. So just when you're creating these traditions, whatever is new for you, take in consideration that you're not doing things to truly isolate, but you're doing it to bring that balance that LeAnne talked about, that peace, that Jamila spoke about. So those things that we want to incorporate and not overextend, but make it to where we're comfortable and we're still having a good time, but we're not anxious and like, oh my God, this is causing me too much angst and I can't be here, just to make other people happy. Like you said, going too far above and beyond for others and not ourselves.
Yes. And I love what you said about not isolating, because I think it's so easy sometimes to say, well, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm going to be over here. I'm going to be in my bubble. I'm going to, I'm not going to any parties or da 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 da. Right now, there was a time when I was a little pettier than I am now. As I get older, I mellow out a little bit. That I would go to spaces I know it's hard to
I
believe.
can't believe that. I just don't believe that.
But I would go to spaces just to be petty because I knew certain people would be there and I was the disruptor. I'm not
You
saying
have
it's a
unlocked a
good
whole
thing.
new level of petty, LeAnne, like for
Oh,
real.
look, a lot of times, if it was a guy I'm dating, let's say, um, we have all the same friends. So now I have to not see any of my friends because you're going to be there. Sir, you're going to be there. I'm going to have the most fun because I know you're there and I know you watching me. Now that's petty.
That's petty.
I'm not saying do that. I'm saying grow, check yourself, and realize it's okay to not be petty.
No, but LeAnne's kind of petty has petty.
I'm so glad Jesus changed her. Thank you, Lord.
Look, yeah.
Thank you.
Let's get to some of these comments that people have been sharing because y'all not gonna focus on me and my ex petty. I'm not petty like that anymore. I
My
have
bad.
grown. Okay. So Asun. Now how do I pronounce that? Can you put the phonetic spelling? Because I feel like I feel like there may be something I'm missing. But Asun said, yes, we must stick together and uplift one another because society does not think we suffer mentally. That's a word. That is so
Is
true.
a word.
That Black resilience.
Yes.
Wait. But Leila has said, we what did you just say about we have to basically give us ourselves? We giving all of ourselves to other people who deserve that same level of us.
Yes.
Gifting ourselves.
We need to do that. And we need to get really comfortable doing that. And I think that, we have constantly been taught and conditioned to extend olive branches and welcome others in before we have gotten our own house in order in terms of the collective of Black people. So having communities like this and spaces like this where we are speaking to us, right? We have to get more comfortable with that. We have to get more comfortable in holding space that is exclusively for us. We need to get more comfortable in understanding that there's nothing wrong with that. I die on that hill all the time in conversation because what I do is for Black women.
Hey, no.
Like, I have given enough to the others and it has never been returned, right? Because at any time, we have to remember that we create space and experiences for other people, but oftentimes we cannot go to other spaces and are not welcomed in the same manner in which we do. So I think it's very important that we have spaces like this. I've learned that in the military when I served. I've learned that working for the federales, as I speak of, and also just in day-to-day interactions. We have to get even better with creating space for ourselves, getting comfortable in that, and standing firm in that.
I think that we as people of color, we have to learn how to be comfortable with sharing our vulnerability without feeling like somebody gonna take advantage of us. You know what I'm saying? Because we so enclosed on keeping things that we feel and think other people might use against us to try to hurt us, instead of being open and say, well, look, let's talk about this here and let's find out why you feeling this way, and let's come to some kind of understanding and conclusion on how we can come up with a change for this. See, one thing for me, I learned early to not place unexpected expectations, unrealistic expectations on myself and other people. Because when I do that, I'm finna let myself down every time. Every time I'm finna let myself down. So to keep me safe and free from that, I always tell myself I can't control nothing outside of me. Anything outside of me, hey, I'm gonna deal with it for face value. All I can change is me. And as far as like those tradition things that go along, I'm glad I was raised in a household of strong Black women, because my mama and grandmama them, look, they didn't play that. I'm telling you. And they instilled it in us, my sisters and me. Hey, look, don't allow nobody to make you feel uncomfortable where you don't want to be.
Yeah, or less than. So
or less than. You know what I'm saying? Or less than.
Back some more comments. So So this one, I believe, is for you, Leila. She says she loves the so Shakia. I'm gonna need you to tell me if am I saying that right too? She
I'm gonna
loves
tell
the
you,
isolation
Shay,
warning. Easy
Key.
to isolate. It's what?
Shay and then Key.
So Shay Key. So just Shay. You're gonna be Shay today. So I can keep. I'm trying to keep it. No, I got to keep it to what I can remember. You got to know your levels. So Shay says she loves the isolation warning. It's easy to isolate, and sometimes we call it being a loner. So we have to know the difference. Self inventory check. I struggle with this balance at times. Okay, so Key Shay. Okay, I got you, Keisha. I got it now. I got it. Leila got me together because I will butcher a name and I don't mean to. But I definitely agree with you, right? We have to do that self inventory. Like I'm saying, mindfulness, body scans. So you know where all of these things are starting to manifest in your body, when they're starting to manifest in your body, in your mind, right? And what are those triggers, like Leila said? Once we know our triggers, you can work on being less impacted by the triggers. Healing is a journey. It is not a race. It is not a destination. I don't think there's anybody that can say, I am healed. I am fully healed. And nothing around this topic will ever trigger me again. It's a trigger for a reason. But when we learn how to self-regulate our emotions, how to handle these triggers, their impact and their grip on us, that death grip starts to lighten up on us. And we're no longer overcome by the storm. We can walk through it. We are able to get through these episodes a lot faster and a lot easier. So they may never go away. You could be triggered something 20 years ago, and a smell can bring you back to feeling like something that like it just happened. Mm-hmm. Right? So, just make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do and doing that self-inventory and working on ourselves so that we're creating new traditions, new paradigms, but we're not creating them out of a space of trauma, which I feel like that's where the isolation is coming from.
And I think also creating psychological safety for yourself, right, is very important. It's something that we don't speak a lot about either. And we're unaware of how to do those steps as well, like creating the safety to be able to speak honestly and be authentic, but ensuring that you're in environments where you can do that. And I think that we have all kind of mentioned being mindful of where we're going, making sure that where we are going to go spend time at during these holiday seasons, or even in your own home, who you're welcoming in, are you, ensuring that you have psychological safety with these people? You know what I mean? That you're having this experience with too. I think that's very important. And we often don't think about it in that way, but it is psychological what's going on. The triggers, the emotions, the things that are evoked by being around people, being at certain places, whatever, just being mindful of that too.
Yes. And then Chastity has said she learned that it's also the delivery approach. I don't know why people are trying to call me today. The delivery approach we need to be mindful of. For example, instead of saying you did this, you did that, I've learned that when I say, when this happens, it makes me. I love that. I love that. And so I think, Leila, can you speak a little bit about this, especially when we're going into professional spaces, right? How do I think this brings up a wonderful thing about kind of creating joy and getting back to a place of harmony and joy after one is hurt. So how do we navigate so that we're not pointing fingers and saying you didn't? Because like you said before, it brings up that defense barrier, that defense mechanism that we all have. So how do we navigate this when we're feeling so jumbled and our emotions are, like you said, we're on 12? How do we stop from going into that space of being accusatory? but really sharing our emotions.
So thank you, LeAnne. And Chastity, that's a great statement. I love that approach. One of the things that you can do is absolutely what Chastity said. First, it's recognizing it, you know, that it's not helpful to say the you need or the accusatory statements. So recognizing it is number one. Number two, once you've recognized it, taking it and understanding how you're making the other person feel. So if I say something and Jamila responds back to me, acknowledge how I made her feel, and then acknowledge what my intentions were. Because if my intentions are pure, I want to communicate that and convey that. Take ownership. Hey, Jamila, I apologize if what I said made you feel that I was going this direction. That was not my intention. My intention was this, right? So
Yes.
the next thing is to find out different delivery methods, which I think is really important, which was stated. This makes me feel, gives the ownership of, I felt proud to know that you were able to communicate this information with me, or it hurt me and made me feel like I wasn't loved or I wasn't appreciated, or, you know, this made me feel valued when this. So using those words, I felt valued, or I felt hurt, I felt unappreciated, I felt loved, I felt, you know, whatever it is that you feel. And then my the radio CEO, to the left, his name isn't up because the questions, so I can't see his name, but he said it, understanding to be vulnerable, which is something, is a daily battle for me, that vulnerability, and knowing that I control me. I can't control if people want to attack me because of my vulnerability. I'm not saying go all in, but we do have to learn to be vulnerable, because when we're not vulnerable and saying those I statements, like Chastity said, this makes me feel, I'm holding up that communication between LeAnne and I.
Yes.
I'm holding up that communication between Sheronda and I. So if I'm not giving those statements, how do we expect people to know either our intentions or how we feel when something's done to us? And that, like you said, something that in the African American community specifically that I grew up knowing about, we are not taught to share. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you know, what your emotions are. Sit down and be still. Sit down and shut up. And when that is engraved in you, and maybe that's not everybody African American experience. That just might be Leila's African American experience. But that was me in my Black household. Be seen and not heard. So your emotions and feelings, nobody cared about that. So just rewiring is a large part of it. And getting those people, I think LeAnne, you said it, or maybe Jamila, that we can be vulnerable. Our friendship groups, choose them wisely where it's a safe space. Because once you get comfortable in your safe space, then we can go out to like law enforcement, where Jamila said it. She's at the federal rallies. I was with law enforcement 15 years. I was one of many. At one time, I was one of 5 Black female sergeants, one of 5. And everything I'm always saying, no matter how articulate I try to be, was not taken. It was always received as I'm, you know, doing a lot. And I'm like, okay, well, I thought the same person said the same thing. And okay. So just understanding, like my CEO owner said, it doesn't matter. I still need to keep being vulnerable. Don't give up on that vulnerability and saying, this is how it made me feel, so that people are aware, because I wasn't doing those things. I wasn't sharing that information on how their responses made me feel. And that's what I had to start doing.
Yes. And I love that, because and I agree with you about how a lot of us were raised. Children are to be seen, 100% not heard. You didn't have a voice. So for a lot of us, we didn't know. We came into adulthood not knowing how to regulate our emotions. Now, if you also grew up with parents who were more of the pop-off variety, right, that were very emotional and did not have control over their emotions, how did you expect to learn it? Because children learn by emulating what they see. So if what they see is chaos, what are they going to grow up bringing and putting into the world but more chaos? unless they recognized it was dysfunctional. And that usually didn't happen until you went somewhere and saw that's not how every family engages. Right. And so I love what you're saying is about being a stand-up person and knowing how to say, I apologize. I didn't mean for it to, for you. I'm sorry you took it this way. This is what I meant. That's how we start to break down some of these barriers. And when I said at the beginning of communicating in love and communicating in light, that's what it looked like. Leila gave you a wonderful example of what that looks like. Chastity gave you a wonderful example of what that looks like. But we have to put it into practice. Right? We have to put it into practice. We have to focus on moments of joy. How do we do that? By knowing our triggers, by establishing boundaries. We've given you, if you guys have been listening, because I hope you have, it looks like you guys have, because y'all been chatty Cathy's, and I love it, is take what we're saying and don't try to implement everything in the world. Pick one thing that you want to focus on, that you want to be intentional about in your next year. So don't make a rigid resolution that's going to be gone by the end of January. Instead, set intentions and then set goals so that your intentions have meaning. I want to be a better person. I want to be the best version of LeAnne. I want to be more healed. I want to be more peaceful, whatever that looks like, so that it's not a rigid pathway like I want to this specific thing. I want you guys to keep yourself open to change, open to opportunity. Let's call it that. Because every day we are given a new chance to get this shit right. Because that's to me what it's about. The holidays are, one, I suffer from seasonal affective disorder. Now, I've never been technically diagnosed, but I know if I go, I'm from Seattle. Most people from Seattle have seasonal affective disorder. It's not you ask all my friends, we will tell you we've got it. Right? Because it's the same thing every time winter comes around. It's the same feelings. It's the same angst, anxiety. But you don't have to let that be your coffin, right? You don't have to let that pain continue to hold you. You can have moments of joy, and those moments be days, weeks, months, years of joy. And it doesn't mean that there's no pain, there's no sorrow, no unhappiness. That's life. You have to know that the rain's going to come. The rain is necessary for what? The flowers to bloom in the spring, baby. That rain is watering all these seeds of goodness that we are putting out into the world, that we're cultivating and curating so that we can give that and spread that love to somebody else. Especially when you got Agent Orange out here.
No, you didn't.
His agenda of hate.
Did you say Agent Orange?
Yeah,
I will never say.
You was being too nice, honey. I got some other things we can call him, but
I call him Agent Orange, and everybody know who I'm talking about when I say it.
Right? Cheese with the comb.
Look,
that's the cheese.
Look, I'm gonna need you to, y'all admit. All I'm saying is we want to cultivate joy. We want to cultivate love. And if we want a different world, we have to be willing to take the steps necessary to first fix ourselves. I think we be so focused on fixing everybody else, but we don't want to look LeAnne. LeAnne don't want to look LeAnne in the mirror and say, I've got some problems. LeAnne has some fucked up tendencies sometimes, right? Sometimes I don't like my damn self. So I know other people don't like me all the time. But when we're in a position of growth, when we're in a position of loving self, we have to accept who we are first. And then we have to move forward in how do I fix these things so that I can show up as the best version of myself. So as we kind of round out the show, I want to come to my fabulous guest and ask, if you had one tip or one thing that you can share with the audience about, getting to that joy in this holiday season, what would that be? But wait, let me go because Chastity said some more stuff. Let's see what Chastity said real quick. We have to allow our children to express themselves and ask those questions and allow them to be, but also thoroughly explain the answer to those questions and give cause and effect. I love that on what's asked. Yes. Yes, and that is grow Chastity. Chastity coming out here with all the things. Chastity should have just been on the show.
Absolutely.
Chastity out here giving it, serving it to
That part.
I love it. So, okay, and back to what I was saying, because we do got to go. So, if there's one tip, one parting word that you would like to leave with people on how do they embrace joy during these stressful holiday periods, or even just outside of the holidays, how do they bring more joy and happiness into their lives? You got that final thing, and then let people know how they can connect with you, how they can find you. If you have anything special going on, it's the end of the year. People still shopping. They still got a little, they still got a little coin in their pocket. So what I know y'all fabulous women got something that you could share with the people. You like to go first, Leila?
Yes, I was unmuting myself. So I think the one thing I would say is just gratitude.
Yes.
Write yourself those gratitude notes. I have an I Am app that sends me positive affirmations, and just fill yourself with
someone is at the front door.
Positivity, gratitude, gratefulness daily. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Leila Fristel Lawson on LinkedIn. It's down below, I think. And then on my website. So that is how you can connect with me. And again, I'm grateful to have been a guest on today. I'll let Jamila take it.
Hey, y'all. I had an amazing time today. I want to thank you all for having me on as a guest. One thing that I would love to implore Black women specifically is to get intentional about your joy, honey, because your joy is a self act. It is not about anyone else, right? And to surround yourself in community and sisterhood with other Black women that get it and get you, and that will uplift you, will affirm you, and will confirm the joyous things that you are manifesting in your life currently and forecasting. Find community is one of the most joyous things that I can tell a Black woman to go and do. Find community where you are able to show up as your whole ass self. There's no code switching inside of it. You are just being. If you are looking for community, I have one for you. It's the Win Some, Wine Some community. I have a Patreon. We have a free tier. We also have paid tiers that are focused on joy. We have the Joy Hive. We have the Joy Sanctuary. I also have a pillar of the Win Some, Wine Some community that is focused on the Black motherless daughters, and where you will be surrounded by women that can empathize with you and not sympathize, and that we will go through this journey together and be together and comfort and understand one another as these things in our new reality is taking place and unfolding for us. Again, I can be found on Patreon for Win Some, Wine Some, also on LinkedIn as Jamila Weathers. And if you guys need a little bit of joy, get on my newsletter list, which is also found in the link on LinkedIn, and get that joy delivered right to your inbox. Thank you again.
I would say a way that I have experienced joy is by installing some boundaries. I have this boundary that, like, I don't know why, but I'm a slow learner sometimes. It took me I'm in my 5th decade here, and I have discovered boundaries. And they are amazing. They are amazing because my boundaries protect me from others and others from me. And it has to be because the joy is already here. I just had to stop spending time with people that was causing me stress in order to feel the joy. So I say boundaries. I can't hear you. Okay.
Oh Lord, her microphone.
Okay,
Oh,
there
there,
we back. We back.
there it is.
Hush up, Tony. This is
Well,
what Tony's comment. Hold on one second. It said, stop allowing people to live rent-free in your head. Start loving yourself first and foremost. Speak affirmations to yourself daily. Okay. Would you like to close out with anything else?
That works for me right there. That's why I put it in the chat. That works for me right there. That's my joy right there. All in a nutshell. And with it being like that, it makes it real easier for those that's outside of me to say, you know, that brother right there ain't playing. I can't come to him, you know, without being correct, because he gonna give it to you in the raw, which I am. You know, I feel we've been sugarcoating stuff for too long, you know, and sometimes we need to be blunt, straight up with our people, because some of them just need a just quick slap in the face. Come on, get your ass in order. What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong for you? Come on.
Yeah, we're not.
But do it with love. But do it with love. But do it with love.
Virtual slap. He
Here you
gets
go, big
a
bro.
physical slap because we do not condone violence on.
No. That wasn't no like, you know, that was just for sound effect purposes. So you know them ones with that selective amnesia that don't be, you know, you have to give them that sound, because you give them a sound and a visual, then they get to understand it. But anyway, y'all can catch me every Saturday and Sunday night at Cityscape Radio, the Brownstone, 7 to 9 p.m. I did a fantastic show last night, boy. Y'all should have been there. I mean, man, I told you, boss lady, I'm coming for that #1 spot in the ATL. Chi-Town trying to rep hard. I'm trying to rep hard for that spot, you know. But I want everybody to have a fantastic holiday. Check on your loved ones, because you here today and you gone today. You know what I'm saying? I got 3 funerals to go to before the end of this month.
Jesus.
Yeah, back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? So love the ones you with. And if you can't be with the ones you love, then love yourself. You're the most important person in the world anyway. And ain't nobody gonna love you better than you other than Jesus and me. Because I love you, whether you want it or not. Nah, run and tell that.
Oh my goodness. Run tell that. Dr. Clark, yeah, you notice Dr. Clark ain't said nothing. So those who are not aware, Dr. Paulette Clark is the owner and founder of Cityscape Radio, Brownstone Worldwide, Brownstone Living Magazine. She's one of the founding members of the hip hop group Arrested Development. Yes, I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
She came to tip in to the show, you know, and just check it out with us today and hang out with us for a minute. But we always love when Boss Lady drop in on us, even though she ain't say nothing the whole episode.
Well, I mean, because you all were on a roll. Like, I wasn't gonna come in here and interrupt that. Like, you all were rocking and rolling. You didn't need my input. You all were doing just fine. I'm over here just chilling, writing, taking notes, learning some things. And I just kind of wanted to add to the final question of the hour, which is, what was the question again? So I get it right, so I'm not off, because I have it too. I got that ADD thing. Yes, but okay.
The question is bringing more is, how do you go about, find your final tip or thought about kind of cultivating and bringing that joy into this season?
Well, the first thing is, and I'm going through this personally right now, is self-preservation and self-care first. Put your Cookie Lions hat on. and say, I got to put me first, Lucius. And I say that, yes, pull the pen out. Let me explain to you what I've been dealing with. And LeAnne and I talked about this. I left the group. We have a group chat, and I left you a message about this. One of the things that I am going to start really pushing, especially as women, is learning how to take care of our physical selves by going to your doctor. Okay. Let me explain why I'm saying that and why this is so important during this particular season, because I thought, listen closely, that I was sick. No, my hormones are low. Not only that, but I also am deficient in several pertinent vitamins that are necessary, mainly D3. So we're supposed to be at specific levels, and we're not. And especially as women, we're the ones who run the household, make sure the holidays are taken care of. We're doing the cooking and the cleaning and the making of the macaroni and cheese and taking care of the babies, taking care of grown folks' kids, taking care of our own kids, taking care of the grandbabies and the great grands if you have them. And so somewhere in between all of that, we are aching, we are sore, we are dragging to get out of bed. Some mornings we can't get out of the bed. I am imploring each one of you during this holiday time and beyond to schedule some time to seek out your primary care physician, your OBGYN. Ladies, I'm talking to you, and gentlemen too, because as we get older and we're pretending that we're not, because we're all on social media and everything is perky and standing up and defying gravity. So let's keep it 100. And let's say, and I'm going through this personally right now, so I'm a little perky right now because I officially started taking estradiol last week. It's literally been 4 days. And I've been prescribed estradiol, and I've also been prescribed vitamin D3, and literally in less than 36 hours, like a day and a half. Thank you for those on TikTok who are currently watching this, who explained to me 36 hours is not 3 days. It's a day and a half. I literally experienced a switch. Take care of you first, because that mental clarity that you're looking for, if you're not taking care of your health, get your blood work done. Make sure that you're taking a nap if you need to. I don't feel like I need a nap today. Hello? Because I've taken the opportunity to find out exactly what my body needed so that I can, number one, serve me and continue to serve those people who are in my immediate family and take some of my control back. That's the easiest way, I believe, that we can literally begin to enjoy the holidays, even if you don't quote unquote celebrate the holidays, but experience this time, take some time to prepare for 2025, gain the clarity that you need, and stop. I'm gonna go here because this is a whole topic for another day. I apologize, LeAnne. This was not, I just feel like this needs to be talked about. Right? We need to talk about taking care of our health, how important it is during this time. We can talk about the fried chicken, the turkey, the ham, honey. We can talk about sweet potato pie and who made the potato salad and the collard greens and everything else in between. But when we are not at our best because we didn't take care of the inside of us, right? We have an issue where we can become argumentative for no reason. Everything gets on our nerves. We're depressed. We broke down. We don't know why. It's because something is deficient. Go find out what it is, and let's stop pretending that we know every doggone. I don't know why I don't feel good today, Lord. I just don't want to get up out the bed. Well, baby, go get your blood checked, honey. You'll find out, like I did, that you're deficient, and get some of those nutrients in your body that food that we're consuming every day may not be giving you, so that you can be your best self, first to you and then to others. All right, I've had my say. There you go. Oh, where can you find me? You can find me on all things Brownstone Worldwide. That's brownstoneworldwide.com, cityscaperadio.com, and the app of the same name, and also Brownstone Living magazine, where this month I'm on the cover. But it's about the Brownstone Founder Circle of Excellence, and we are featuring inside of the magazine. It ain't about me. It just so happened that everybody was like, you need to be the cover. I don't want to be the cover, but I was covered. So on the inside of the magazine, we feature all of our Founder Circle members, some of which are on this call right now, and also the Founder Circle of Excellence, where we recognize business owners, change makers, community leaders, faith makers, and those folks in between who have provided a specific level of excellence throughout the year of 2024. And we will be doing it again next year, and voting will begin by June. So if you want to be on that list, most definitely check out Brownstone Worldwide, or you can always send us an email at thefoundercircle@brownstoneworldwide.com. I'm done.
All right. And so before we close, and as we move through this holiday season, I just want to remind you that joy is not actually a destination. It is a practice, it is a choice, and sometimes it is a radical act of self-love.
Say it.
All of these beautiful people that have been talking to you today have given you tools that we can implement, right? But I want you to remember, you don't need permission to slow down. You don't need permission to rest. You don't need permission to simply soak in the beauty of the moment, because joy belongs to you. Now, give yourself the gift of joy. If that means gift of joy is I have to cut somebody off, I'll do it. Because there are sometimes some things that we've been lingering that are stopping you from getting to your next best, happiest moment because you're too focused on what's behind you, right? So let go of perfection.
Cut it at the root.
Small moment. And fill your life with gratitude. When you do that, joy is definitely going to come to you. So I want to thank y'all. This is our second to the last episode for season 10. Thursday is going to be our last episode, and we're going to be talking about Kwanzaa. So come and celebrate the first day of Kwanzaa with us, Umoja, unity. So
Unity.
telling you a little bit about Kwanzaa, about how you can practice, about all the things. And we're just going to have ourselves a little wrap-up party for season 10. So make sure that you come back here at 10 p.m. on Thursday. I don't know what this was. This is not the Lion King, Tony. This is not the Lion King. But I thank you for it. I thank you for the energy, because that's what we bringing in on Thursday. So, feel free to come back, hang with us on Thursday. I want to again thank my fabulous and beautiful guests, Leila Lawson and Jamila Weathers, for coming. You guys can come back and hang with us anytime, because you guys have been such amazing, phenomenal women. So I want to thank you for being here. I wish you the best in 2025, because I really feel that even with all this Agent Orange stuff going around, this is really going to be our best year, because we're walking into it with purpose, with intention, with love, with clarity, and with a focus on self. So with that, I want y'all to have the day you're meant to have, because you have control over how you react to everything. So love y'all, and we'll see you later.
Hootie hoo.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Wake Up Happy Sis Show. Join us live every Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern for more joy, healing, and sisterhood. Until next time, keep thriving unapologetically, sis.